Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Romeo and Juliet, and today we get to hear from the nurse in Act 3, Scene 5, which has not been a very good scene for Juliet. She started out waking up with her husband, and they had sort of a lovely pre-morning until he had to leave, and when she was watching him go and looking at him from out the window, she's like, it almost looks like you're dead and in your grave, which is, exactly how you want to see your spouse first thing in the morning. And then her mom came in and told her that she is supposed to marry the County Paris on Thursday, today being Monday, because her dad thought that Wednesday was going to be too soon, so Thursday's fine. And Juliet, of course, doesn't want to marry the County Paris, in part because she doesn't like him, but mostly because she's already married to Romeo. So from a religious standpoint, what does that do to her? To make her marry a man when she's already married to a different man. And, the whole till death do us part thing hasn't happened yet. So she doesn't want to do it. And then her father comes in and he finds out that she doesn't want to marry the County Paris. And he basically disowns her if she doesn't go through with this marriage. He literally says to her, if you don't do this, you can beg, starve, die in the streets. I don't care, and I'm cutting you off. So you have until Thursday to get your stuff together and put it in a backpack if you happen to be Rick and Morty. But you're going to marry Paris or you're going to be disowned and destitute. And his temper is such that in many productions you'll see some physical violence happen between either him and the nurse who tries to intervene, or him and Lady Capulet who tries to intervene, or even him and Juliet. So everybody's rather shaken, and after his monologue, he leaves, and Juliet turns to her mother and is like, can you please talk him down? Is there anything you can do to help? And Lady Capulet is like, I'm done with you, which is also a devastating blow to deal to her child. So Juliet, feeling very lost, now turns to the nurse and she's like, please tell me that you have some comforting words. Do you have a remedy for this? Do you have any advice, any wonderful things to say? And the nurse says, Faith, here it is. Romeo is banished, and all the world to nothing, that he dares ne'er come back to challenge you. Or if he do, it needs must be by stealth. Then, since the case so stands as it now doth, I think it best you married with the county. Oh, he's a lovely gentleman. Romeo's a dishclout to him. An eagle, madam, hath not so green, so quick, so fair an eye as Paris hath. Beshrew my very heart. I think you are happy in this second match, for it excels your first. Or if it did not, your first is dead, or 'twere as good he were as living here and you no use of him. So the nurse, full disclosure, I have played the nurse before, and the way that I took this is, in order to protect Juliet, she's now going to encourage Juliet to marry Paris, because she doesn't see any other way that Juliet comes out of this with anything. I don't think the nurse is hopeful that Romeo will be able to make it back to Verona, or at least not in any sort of time frame that will be helpful to the situation. So she, rather than see Juliet die and starve destitute on the streets, she encourages Juliet to marry Paris in this moment, which from Juliet's perspective is also not what she wanted to hear. She's like, are you serious? That's really what you think is best? And the nurse is like, I honestly think that that's the best choice right now. And Juliet's like, all right, well, would you tell my parents that I'm going to Friar Lawrence's cell to make confession and ask forgiveness for being so rude to them a few minutes ago? And the nurse is like, yeah, I'll tell them. And then the nurse leaves, and Juliet has one last little tidbit. It's not long enough to be a monologue for this project, but she has one last little tidbit on the stage by herself where she laments the fact that she has nobody on her side now, but she's going to go to Friar Lawrence to try to see if he has any advice or any solutions to this whole thing. And she ends it by saying, worst comes to worst, I can always kill myself. So she hasn't taken suicide off the table. she's in a fantastic state of mind now as she heads off to Friar Lawrence's place. And that is the end of Act 3, Scene 5. So we will stop there, and yeah, we'll come on back tomorrow for more, and we'll get to find out, does she kill herself? Does she have to marry Paris? What is the exit from this whole situation? Yeah, we're getting closer to seeing how it all resolves. Though I'm guessing you already know, because you've probably seen a film version of this at some point or heard things about it. But anyway, if you have thoughts, questions, predictions, go ahead and put them in the comments, and I will see you tomorrow for more. Mwah!